Hello there, survivors! Welcome back to another build tutorial in ARK Survival Ascended. Today we're building this modern mansion that I built in the Redwoods. But of course you're free to build this pretty much wherever you want. It's a pretty sizable base, so be aware of that. It's got two parts to it basically. You've got a dividing in the middle, and then you got the left part, which is much more of the modern style, and then the right part, which is a little bit of a more rustic take on the usual A-frames that I build. I would use one of these sides, whichever one you want, as your dino pen to park some of your smaller to medium tames. Everything basically that fits through a dino gate. And the other side of your base you can use for your storage, your crafting, etc, etc. I really like the way this turned out. For this build I will also be using a little bit of the skins from the Frontier pack, the Bob Tall Tales DLC, so that might be easy to own. But otherwise any other glass structures, whether they are mods or custom cosmetics, will probably help you through this build. With that being said, if you like these build tutorials and you want to see more, make sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and maybe even consider becoming a member. Tier 2 members actually get early access to every video that I post. Let's get into the build. Okay, so we're going to start with the foundation for the A-frame part of the build. We want to start out with a nice stone foundation and make it 10 in total. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 in total. Yeah, of course, if you have a flat terrain, it's a little bit easier, but it doesn't need to be flat necessarily. And here on this side, we're going to add 13 to it, so making it 14 in total. Which means for this first part of the build, you'll have a foundation of 10 by 14. And you want to basically make sure that you have the entire outside of that foundation complete. Now, since most likely it's not a flat surface for this whole build, we're gonna be able to save some space with the foundations. Instead of having to fill everything in, you can actually leave gaps of 3 and then have another foundation going there. Well, technically you could even make it bigger, because every foundation has 3 foundation support next to it, but I find that this is the safest way while still saving a little bit of material, so you can add a few of these lines in there to save some of your materials. For the material list that's linked below in the comments, I will be including all the foundations as if you completely filled it in, but just you know, you can actually save some foundations if you do not fill it completely in, and just make sure that you have foundation support everywhere. Okay, then we actually want to start making sure that this whole foundation has a flat layer, flat ceiling above it. So from the highest point, you want to make sure you start your wall, and we're just going to have one stone wall height added to this foundation. Now, where the foundations are equally in height, you should just be able to connect it like you would normally with a proper foundation. But as we've seen, it's very unlikely that everything will be the same height. So this is just where we continue, of course, the wall at the same height that we've had so far. And then, of course, fill in everything below as well to make sure that we have a proper structure. And then we do that on all sides. Of course, will very much depend on your exact landscape, how this will actually turn out to look. And once we've done that, we actually want to fill it in, and I prefer filling this in with a wooden ceiling for the inside of my build. But again, if you want to use different materials, that's totally up to you, of course. I, in fact, actually will skin these ceilings, most likely, because I prefer the look of the Frontier skins. But that, of course, is an optional addition. It's just whatever kind of floor you prefer for your base. I mean, there's so many good custom cosmetics out there as well that you could probably even look for some other interesting materials to add to your build to make it look nicer as well. So yeah, we just go around the whole thing, filling in the entire floor so that we have our big box to start with, which will be the A-frame side of the build, which in my case I used for my dino storage. Like, I could park a bunch of dinos inside, have a little dino pen going on. But you could do whatever you want. It's a pretty big base, and both sides could function as the dino pen, I suppose. Just depends on what you prefer yourself. But as you can clearly see, this was designed to be big enough to be able to house a few dinos inside. Now for the next steps, it's very important that you have one of the many options. One option is using the frontier skin, the glass frontier skin, to get these windows. You could also use other custom cosmetic if you have something that you really like, or you could just use greenhouse glass. Then if you're building this unofficial, you can't overlap structures where you get these, and the glass texture won't go like this. So you will have to leave out that little detail edge around your build, just so you know. So you would just have the normal glass wall and then fill in the corners like normal with sloped walls. Okay, so to get things going, we're actually going to start off with that little detail. Now again, if you're unofficial, you can't do this overlapping part. So what you would do instead is just build a normal A-frame shape without having the overlap. So everything this is underneath, you would have normal walls, just filling in your walls. But if you do have overlapping, you can start by using this shape. Now again, I prefer the frontier skin, so I will change this to the frontier skin before I add in the overlapping, just because that's a little bit more easy this way. Then here in the middle, we want to add in our dino gate so that you have a nice entrance. And of course, adding in the proper gate as well. And then for the rest of it, we can actually just start filling in the walls. You can see that we have a little bit of overlapping going on there. And that's just the way that we want to continue all of this. And again, also over there. This is where we add in the glass skin. So either this can be greenhouse walls, this can be the frontier glass skins, or any other custom cosmetic glass skin, or maybe modded glass if you have mods available to you. Okay, then we're slowly going to start with the roof and the shape of the rest of the building. So we want to add in 2 of these roofs right here on both sides of the wall that we've created. And then we're going to go 7 in total. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 before we're going to start adjusting the shape. Here we're going to make a little corner like so, because we're going to have a A-frame facing this way as well. So yeah, we want to start that A-frame. Again, we're going to basically repeat the same process of making our little A-frame here. If you do not have overlapping, you would just have to make this normal shape without these overlapping parts that I have as details. And of course, I prefer using this kind of wood from the frontier skins, but again, that's optional, of course, if you prefer it differently. Then we want to add in a double door right there, and then we can fill in the rest of the wall just with regular walls, or at least the glass option that you're going to use. So either skin it to frontier style glass or any other type of glass. And then we want to change all these skins to get the proper window look in here. So we have another one of these A-frames going on, and we can actually add in the doors as well, of course. Okay, then we can start making our little roof shape here. First on the outside, the little overlap that we have going on right until there. And then this is actually where we would have another corner. And then, of course, we can just basically fill in the rest of the roof shape to connect to the rest of the roof. Now, the easiest way on this side, at least, is to just go to the last normal roof before this corner on this side. And then this means that this is the line that we can take all the way up to the top of the roof. And then we can link that back all the way here to the start as well, because we're going to not have any additions there. We are going to have a little detail over there, so we'll leave that open for now. And then, of course, we can also fill in this one all the way to the end right there, and we can start filling in the rest of the roof here. So that's going to be a corner. We want to extend these, and then we want to extend those as well, just so that we know kind of what our roof shape is going to be. And we do that for this corner side as well. And then, of course, we can add in the actual corners for the roof, connecting the 2 different A-frames together to make a nice shape in the design. And you can already see this building coming together a little bit more, starting to look a lot more interesting. Okay, here on this side, we can actually add one more layer right there without doing anything. And then here, this is where the detailing would start. So first off, you would start another shape like this. You would take out our quarter walls, connect them here to the bottom, then flip to the other variant, connect them right there. We can have a wall in between in the middle. And then on top, we want to make sure that we get our slope walls connecting up in this kind of shape. And then it means we can actually start connecting the roof. So first off, we want to place one right there and right here. And then we should be able to connect up the rest of the roof. So fill these in, take out our corners, and it should all line up while still having a little bit of an extra detail going on right there. Again, I like to use the glass frontier textures, at least on these. And then to make it look a little bit more even, I would also advise using those, because that just blends together a little bit nicer. Now we're almost done with the roof here on the front. We actually want to take this line right here, so before the corner, and take that one all the way down as an A-frame, so until you hit the ground basically. And we want to do that for the entire part until the end of the house. And this is just as a way to detail it. We're going to add in a balcony here in a little bit. But for now, what we at least want to do is go underneath here. And you most likely want to make sure that you fill in this shape. So you want to take out your sloped wall right there. And if you can, also below. And then just fill this in so that you can't see into it. And then here on the end, of course, we want to do the same thing. So we take out those sloped wall, we connect those up to the roof pieces. And then we fill in the normal walls as well. Basically, so you can't see underneath that part of the roof anymore. Okay, and then the back of the roof is actually a little bit more simple. So we're going to start out with continuing this line of the roof just down, right like so. So 2 roofs wide. And we can actually take those all the way down into the ground as well. And then here, we want to just do that on the edge of the building. We can take this all the way because we are not going to have the same addition as we did on the front. Because we don't really need that much extra shape. There we go. So just all the way through until the end of the platform. And then here we want to connect this line up as well. So that basically means you leave the same gap as the other one. So 4 roofs in total. And then here we want to connect this first line of 4 roofs. And of course the 2 at the top as well, since we won't be needing that for the roof. And then we start again with making the same shape as we did before. So we start out with the slope walls. Then we have the normal quarter walls, flipped version of the quarter walls. Normal wall in between, and then the slope walls snapping on top again to finish that shape. We of course want to make sure that we have the full roof going in like this right there as well, and then we can make the corners to make this all fit in nicely. There we go. Then for the rest of the roof, we actually want to continue this, the top 2 of the roof, just all the way until the end like this. And here at the bottom as well, we would just want to continue this all the way to the end too. And then here, this is where we're going to do the same shape again. So we'll give a gap of 2, have the slope wall. And then here, actually, we're going to go straight into another one. So these ones are going to have 2 back to back. Then we want to have the normal quarter walls at the bottom. The other ones here, variation at the top. Normal wall in between for both of them. And then snapping the slope walls on top again until you get the right snap point. There we go. We can fill these in, that one in, and that one in. And then of course attach normal roofs like this, like that. Like this and like that. Then we can take out our corner pieces, and that should mean that we're able to fill in the rest of the roof like so, like so, like so, and like this. There we go. So we have all the details. Again, I would take out the frontier skins and change these skins to look a little bit nicer. And of course, to change the middle parts into glass so that we have actual windows here as well. That's one of the best additions of this frontier skins, that you can make windows like this for your roofs. And there we go. That is the start of the A-frame part here of the build. We're going to move on to the middle part of the build. We're going to need a foundation again, of course. It's going to be 5 wide here. So an additional 5. And then, of course, it's going to be the same depth to get out there. So we just want to basically attach a 5x10 block to the whole build. Now, technically, this should already all have foundation support. So you could leave some gaps. You could also, add just one line in. But just for the material list, I'm going to add all the foundations in. But if you want to have a little bit of a cheaper build, as well as maybe save on some of the structures, if you have a smaller structure limit, for example, then you could leave some out, as long as you make sure that you have the foundation support everywhere. Then what we want to do is we want to add in a layer of quarter walls here on the outside. So sticking out by a quarter wall, we want to start going up. And we basically want to make sure that we're one higher than the actual roof that we've built. So if you go out like this, you should be 1/4 ceiling or wall above the roof. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're actually going to add in 2 normal wood ceilings right there. This is the start of it. And then what we want to do is we want to have a little quarter ceilings there so that we can snap to that with a full stone wall. And that one we want to take all the way up until we're just 1/4 wall below. And then, of course, we want to have the quarter walls because that's what we're going to continue over. Okay, so what we want to do is extend this by just 2 right there. Then here at the bottom, we actually want to have 2 quarter stone ceilings right there and continue the wall down like this. Here, we're going to have our window. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a window going all the way up just below those walls right there. And of course, in my case, I need to use my custom cosmetic that they look like proper windows. Okay, then what we want to do is basically also take our quarter ceilings right here. Make sure that the nice skin is on the outside so that you can basically build into the window. And here as well, we want to have our quarter walls just to fill in this little lip that we have here on the outside. Then here on the outside, we want to have a layer of quarter ceilings before we actually go into a layer of normal ceilings, which we can continue all the way until basically the other side as well. Because here on the other side, we actually kind of just want to repeat the same shape. So we have these layer of quarter walls going on to the other side. And then, of course, here we have this quarter wall coming up as well. Just 1 quarter wall from the main foundation that we already have. We have this go all the way up like this. Make sure you line it up with the line that came across from the other side. Here again, we want to have also a layer of quarter ceilings to fill in that one. And then here, of course, we have the quarter walls. Then here we have some quarter ceilings on upside down for the little wall part. And then, of course, here on the front, we have normal full walls going all the way down below. Before having the quarter walls again here in this little corner to create that shape again. Should be able to extend these ceilings. Right there, we can fill them in with wood. And then right here, of course, we have these stone ceilings being attached. Here we can have the stone walls continue like that, just like we did on the other side. And then it's time to add in our windows as well. So our glass windows right here, the frontier skin, the frontier glass. There we go. Okay, for the inside here, we basically want to continue this stone wall almost up to the middle, but leaving the middle 2 open, and then we can build this all the way up on both sides. Here we want to make sure that we have a gap of 3 high before we fill in the rest of the walls, and then we can just fill in this entire wall with stone walls like so. Because we actually want to make sure that this is a proper divider for the building, because it's kind of separating the two types of builds that we have going on. Then right here you'll have a layer of quarter ceilings going on like this, going back into a layer of full ceilings, and then another layer of quarter ceilings on the end. This is just to change the snap points a little bit. You'll see in a moment why. Here we want to have the normal stone wall going up like this. You want to do the same here. What you can actually also do instead, if you want to still access these little hallways, maybe to hide your generator or something, you could have a secret doorway instead before continuing your wall like normal. Because then you can still access these little walkways, I suppose. Then we want to have the ceiling right above that. Then we want to also make sure that we kind of just fill in the rest of the ceilings like so. Connect them all up. It should all line up perfectly. And then what we should be able to do is just fill in the rest of the wall like this too. So just all the way up to the top. The last layer we'll have to do quarter walls, so we'll leave that out for a little bit. Just filling in these side of the walls as far as possible. Now there's two options here. You can either just fill this in with a layer of quarter walls if you do not mind looking at that texture. But what you can also do is use the ceilings, flip them upside down, and just go across like so. It will save you a little bit of structures, and I think this is a little bit nicer to look at without having those extra beams in there. Okay, then it's time to continue this divider. Now what we want to do is snap a full wall to this side as well. Go all the way up. So basically that is attached to this ceiling that we've just placed in. And then what we also want to do is we want to have another wall sticking out on top of the whole build. This we can actually take across the entirety of this design. And then here we basically can do the same thing. So get the right snap point and have the stone wall go all the way up like this. On the outside, we actually want to add in another quarter wall. Make sure you go all the way down and then all the way up as well. So basically we want to extend this wall by a little bit so that it actually extends from the first stone layer that we added. And of course we're going to do that on both sides. So here as well, a quarter stone wall extra on the outside so that it actually sticks out. Now this middle part that we're going to be working on right now, so this wall that we just placed in, I would also paint in a different color to this stone just so that you can really see the difference. Okay, then we want to take our quarter ceilings and go all the way across the top as well. Again, this is actually going to be the big divider, and this extra line that we're making right now that sticks out from the stone, yeah, looks the best if you paint it a little bit darker. I think I painted mine in charcoal, just adds a little bit extra. Then here on the end, we're also going to add a quarter wall width and just taking that all the way down to the ground. And we want to do that same thing here on the other side, of course. And then on the other side of the ceiling, we want to also make this little quarter wall go down all the way until it's in the ground. And of course, the same on the other side here. And then next to that, you can have the full wall again, going all the way up, basically lining up with the first one we had. Of course, we had the little gap there in the middle. So we do the same thing here on the other side, lining up these walls, making them go all the way down to below. And if you have a gap, you want to fill those up as well. Of course, a little quarter gap might be left. Here on the inside, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we flip all quarter ceilings and have the line continue all the way to the other side. Again, this would still be part of what you would paint, at least in my opinion. If you think differently, you can of course change it. And then we want to of course close off this little wall design as well with our quarter walls all the way until the level of the floor inside of your house. There we go. Okay, basically what we want to start doing then is expand our ceiling a little bit like so. And then we can fill in this entire bit in the middle with our ceiling going all the way through. Don't mind the plants, of course. You would remove those normally. And then here we want to fill in this little gap with some quarter ceilings going all the way like so. Then here, this corner, actually we want to remove those two. So we'll have the same here on this side, of course, because so far we'll have the sides the same. So we want to have 4 quarter ceilings on this side at least. And then making sure that we go around the corner by these as well. So just one little extra addition like so. Then what we're going to create is our windows. We're going to have a 2 wide window here all the way up to this height. And then right around the corner, we're going to also have a window going up the same height. So this is going to be a big corner window like so. And we can continue this all the way. Change the skins or use your glass texture. Of course, easy to do the same thing on the other side as well. So making your window go all the way up to there. And go around the corner as well. Changing the skins so that you have the glass that we've been using so far. Okay, then here on the outside, we want to create this little lip again with our quarter stone ceilings. Doing the same thing on both sides, of course. And then making sure that we have walls going down on the front so that, you know, it is not floating anymore. So you should have just 2 walls. It hopefully lines up with your foundation depending on your landscape. Then here on the end, what we want to do is we want to have a wall stick out like this all the way up. And we want to make sure that we end at the same height as the windows themselves. Of course, we're going to do that at the other side as well. Okay, now what we want to do is take out our quarter ceilings, make them flip upside down, add the little lip there as well. Or quarter walls on top of that, lining them up like so, filling in the gaps where needed, like that. And then on top of here, you should be able to snap your ceilings. And then we want to make a 2 by 3 little platform like this. Of course, best to do the same thing here on the other side as well. Filling in these walls, filling in that wall. And then snapping the ceilings in the 2 by 3 like so. Then we should be able to attach a little lip of quarter ceilings and then extend it by 1 so it will line up with the wall that we've created. Add a little quarter wall there as well. And of course we'll do the exact same thing here on the other side. So we'll connect this all the way to the outside, having our quarter walls. And then of course here at the end, we want to go with quarter walls all the way down to the bottom. And then we're almost getting finished with this little stone addition. Then we'll fill also in these little corners, of course. We'll do the same thing here on the front. So again, quarter walls all the way down to the bottom, all the way into the floor. Fill in this little gap that we've left open. And then here on the other side, we should be able to snap our full wall to basically create the same thing as we have on the other side and go all the way down to the bottom. Both sides will do the exact same, of course, like so. And then here on the outside of the window, we want to actually get our stone ceilings in at the bottom in front of the window like this. Of course, we want to fill in this with another layer of quarter walls so that we can't see inside that thing anymore. Do the same thing here on the other side of the build as well. There we go. And then of course having these ceilings above the window too, to create that little lip again. And then what we want to do, we want to snap a full stone wall like this, going all the way up until that little bit. We'll do the same thing here on the other side of the build as well. And then here on front, of course, we can fill in this wall so that it connects to our foundation. Then here on the inside, we'll have 2 more quarter ceilings to fill in the little gap that's been left behind. And we have an extra snap point now. Then here on the corner, we want to snap in one more stone wall like this. Same thing here on the other side, going up like that. And then here on the inside, it's actually going to be a little bit more different. We're going to snap a quarter wall right there, quarter wall right here. And then it's actually easiest to take out these ceilings at the end and replace them by quarter ceilings all the way through, because we need some extra snap points, and we can create this little corner like so. And we can continue this all the way up until the top of this wall, of course. And the same thing here with all the other walls of this shape that we've just created. So there we go. We should end up with a corner like this, which adds a little bit of character to this place. Of course, here on the other side, we're going to do the exact same thing. Just fill all the walls up until the same height. We can actually save on the structure limit by removing these ceilings right in front of the double window here, and instead going for the full ceilings like so, and then extending them by 2 more in total like that. And then here on the other side, of course, we want to do the same thing basically, because it just saves us a little bit on the structure limit, which is always good, of course. And now they should line up with the previous ceilings that we've placed above them. For some reason I seem to have much more visitors again. Then what we want to do is basically we want to continue these quarter walls all the way across. We want to do the same thing here on the other side. And of course we want to fill in these as well. For the rest of this wall, we'll wait a little bit before filling it in, because it's easier to do it when we have the rest of the structure here. And of course, before we can extend the rest of the build, we need to extend the foundation. We want to find the middle and then basically make this 6 wide in total. So that should be 6. And then also in total, we want to go out by 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A little bit difficult to see that with the plans, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, the actual height for the foundations doesn't matter too much. And then we want to fill in this like so. So a little square addition. Again, you could technically leave this open because the foundation supports should already be there. But for the material list, I'm going to actually place down all the foundations. But if you want to save on the structure limit and materials, you can. And then again, here on the end, we want to find the middle and then place 4 foundations right there at the end as well. Okay, then we should be able to extend our ceilings as well. Again, we just want to make sure that we get the entire square in there. So the 6 by 6 shape that we've just laid down as foundations, we want to now actually extend above as ceilings to kind of flatten the whole building out, of course, like so. And before we start placing down the walls below, we want to actually make sure that this is all lined up with the ceilings. So some quarter walls to fill in those gaps. On the front side of the building, we want to add in 4 of these walls. If the landscape is deeper, make sure they go all the way down to the bottom. Then we're going to actually extend here to the side with foundations. So we're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, and making them 2 wide. So they should line up with the end of the normal foundations, except of course those 4 that we added here to the front. And here at the back, we also want to add in those 4 walls. We're also going to extend it, but only by 2 by 2 basically. So much smaller than on the other side. And then we can continue those walls on top as well. Make sure they line up with the height, of course, of your ceilings. So example for here, my landscape is a little bit lower. So I want to make sure that I have them going all the way down to the ground so that it all blends in with each other. In some cases, you might not be able to place down the walls. You might want to place down ceilings above first. We're going to use stone ceilings now for these balconies, basically. And we're going to go out by 8 from the wooden ceilings that we had before. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They should now all be supported because of what we've already placed down. And then here we're going to make this 6 wide in total before we go back in. And yeah, again, we should all have support for this already because of what we've already placed down before. And then we can fill in all the ceilings here on this side. Here on the front, we want to make it too wide all the way across to the other side. And then fill in these as well. And of course, we want to extend them here by 2 on the outside. And then by 3 in total from the wooden ceiling. So basically 1 more layer here on the outside like that. So the one side isn't quite as big as the other side where it juts out a lot further. So that you have some extra workspace here on your porch. And now that we've got those ceilings, we should be able to place walls. Make sure you line them up with the foundations we placed before and not with the edge of the actual ceilings. So yeah, we want to finish this supporting shape below there like so. And then we can just follow this shape around like this. And then here on the front, we can leave the middle 2 open. And then repeat the same progress for the other side. If you weren't able to fill in the walls, just follow the shape of the foundations. And again, make sure that the middle 2 at the front or at the side, I guess, of the building are still open, because we're going to extend that for a little staircase into your base, of course. Then it's time to add a front gate right here, or back gate, depends on what way you want to enter your base from. So we have a gate there in the middle, and actually we also want to add in our gate right here. It's in the stone archway that we created before. That's why we did the weird stuff with the ceilings there. Then right here on the side with the longer porch, we want to have a double door right here. So we want to place that down like this. Of course, we can add in the doors. You can add in the gates. You can also add in a gate there if you want to. I would mostly leave that open. It's just more practical. And then we want to switch to our normal wall. Then we can start filling it in. And we want to make this all 4 high in total. So this entire wall is going to be 4 high. This is all going to be made out of our windows. So in my case, I'm going to use the frontier skin. But if you're using any other glass, or you want to use greenhouse glass or whatever, this is all going to be made out of your glass structure or texture. And we're just going to go all the way around this build, making it all 4 high in total. There we go. Should look like that. And then, of course, make sure, if you're using the frontier skin as I do, to change it all to glass so that we can actually see through and see the inside again. If you have the Bob Talltales DLC, you can use the scaffolding for the next part. Otherwise, a wooden sloped wall works as well. And basically, we want to go around underneath here and add in these supports like so. Basically, every little ceiling, we want to add in the supports from the walls that we have going underneath, just as a little extra detail. Make sure to leave out the front where we're still going to add something later. And then we're just going to go around all along underneath this porch that we're working on. And just because that looks like this is actually all being held up properly, it's a nice way to add in a few extra details to the build. And whilst we're at it, we're also gonna add the balcony right here. So we're gonna add a 2 wide balcony in front of this side of the A-frame here. And here at the back, we're actually going to do the same thing. Gonna make it 2 wide little platform here. This is also gonna have another entrance, of course, because we have the gate there already. So this is where you want to have your stone ramps and going down. Now, in the case like me, you can't go much further. What you can then do is have foundations come from the middle of your build up until the stairs. And then you should be able to extend them all the way so that you can actually go down and reach the ground. And that's the same thing that we're going to do here in the middle of this side. So you want to probably extend those by at least 2 more. And then we should be able to add our stairs going down like that so that you can actually leave and enter your base. Then we want to make sure that we clean that all up. So we want to add in our sloped walls underneath and connect the walls into the main structure. And of course, make sure you do that on both sides. And then on the other side of the building with the other stairs, we're going to pretty much do the same thing. So we're going to have, we fill those in and then connect them back up to the main structure as well, so that we don't have any floating bits or little ugly hidden bits. And then here underneath all these other platforms that we've added, we of course also want to add in or support beams. So pretty much the same thing. We're going to add in our scaffolding or the wooden sloped walls if you don't have the Bob Tall Tales DLC. There we go. And then for this balcony on this side, we want to do the same as well. Just because, yeah, it makes it look like it's not just floating on the side, but actually has some proper supports to it. Because otherwise it might still look like it's floating a little bit. Here in the middle of the corner, we want to actually add in these little legs underneath the ceilings, just to make it look like a little bit more support has been added. And even though this doesn't go out that far, I still like to add it as like a balancing design choice, but you don't technically need it, of course. Now for all of these balconies, we're gonna make these little custom railings. These are made out of Adobe in my case, so Adobe quarter walls and Adobe quarter ceilings. Of course, if you're playing on the center and you're not on the cluster, you can't actually make Adobe yet on the map. On all the other maps where they do spawn the sand and the cactus, etc., you can of course make them. If you can't make Adobe, you can also just use a different material like stone or maybe metal and paint that instead. It's painted in the silver color in this case, but any white-ish color would probably work, or maybe some other accents if you want to have it maybe more dark instead. Then there's also a modern custom cosmetic that actually adds in modern plaster, which looks like this, which is also definitely an option that you could use if you do not have any Adobe and you maybe don't want to paint everything and just want to use the skins instead. I will link the exact custom cosmetic down below. So the easiest way to do this is start on one side of your build, in this case on the A-frame, and slowly work your way to the other side. So we want to start out with having a railing of these quarter ceilings around our current porch, and we'll do that on both sides, of course. And then we want to start adding in our walls like this, creating the whole shape of this railing. It is a little bit of a tedious job. It does add a bunch of extra materials, but it does look good in my opinion. But if you do not want to do this everywhere, you could of course also just use normal railings along your porches instead. And there we go. So that's one side done. Of course, here you probably also still want to have some railings alongside your staircase, if the landscapes allows it, just so that it's nicely supported. That's one down. A couple more to go. Again, the process doesn't really change. The basic shape of this structure is going to be the same. Adding in the quarter ceilings first everywhere and then connecting them up. So here connects up all the way like that. Here you can choose to end it right there, or you can also connect it up like this if you want to. And then of course the next step is to add in the quarter walls all around and then finish off with another layer of ceilings. And there we go. That is the second balcony done. And then we get to the big porch here at the other side of the building, and that is also where we're going to add in this custom railing all the way around. If you do not do it for your little balconies, I would still suggest doing it at least for this part, because it's really part of the main design for this side of the building, as well as what we're going to do on top of there once we've done these railings. So again, you just go around with the quarter ceilings first. Same here on the other side as well. And then of course we're gonna raise them up with the walls before adding another layer of ceilings. So just go around the edge of the whole platform and do that everywhere. Now for the ending right here that ends into the window, if you have overlapping, you can just snap it into it. Although it might be best to get rid of the full wall first and skin or paint this one first. If you can't overlap, you can just add an extra wall in here so that from the inside you won't be able to look down the whole little railing that we create. But for the rest, it's all just more of the same placing these walls. And there we go. We should end up with a place all the way like this. And again, here on these stairs, you probably also want to add in the railings on the sides just to make it a little bit safer. Okay, then it's finally time to start on the roof of this building. What we want to start out with is a layer of 2 ceilings right here at the end. Then another layer of 2 ceilings right here at the end. And you guess it, also on the other side, 2 layers of ceilings right there. And then 1 layer of ceilings here at the back. Now, if you have mods or custom cosmetics that can do this, you can use some glass ceilings here in the middle. Otherwise, you can just use the greenhouse glass ceilings instead. And we want to add in a beam of wood around the edges. And personally, I would change those into the frontier skin. Then here at the edge, we're going to add a layer of the adobe quarter walls all the way around. And we're actually doing that on all sides of the roof. Again, we're going to create a little bit of that custom border, but there's more to it this time because we're integrating it into a funky shape for the roof design to make a very nice looking base. And then on the sides of the buildings, we're actually going to already start creating our little railings. So we're going to add the bottom ceilings, quarter ceilings along the side like this. And then of course we're going to create the full railing out of this. So we're going to make another layer of quarter walls. And then another layer of quarter ceilings on top. And you want to do that on both sides of the building. Not on the front, just on the sides so far. Okay, we should have this right now. And in the front, we're going to do it slightly differently. We're going to have adobe ceilings sticking out 4 in total, going all the way across until we reach the other side again. So like this, just filling it all in. There we go. And then here on the side, we're going to add in the sloped walls like this to create this nice shape and have the roofs connecting them like so. If you do not have any overlapping, this is where you end the shape. If you do have it, like me, you can continue it and make it look like it flows into the piece that we're now making here on the front of the build. There we go. And then we'll take out normal full walls and basically go around this shape again, basically making a bigger version of the railing that we've been building so far. Then we'll flip around the ceilings and fill in this part as well. Now, this part of the build doesn't necessarily serve a purpose, but it does look really nice. And that is also very important for your base, right? I mean, just gives it a very unique shape. Okay, then we want to take out our quarter ceiling, line it up with the railing below, and then add this little lip again. We're going to follow the same shape as the railing below. So make sure that you stay above the exact railing and then just follow that line. And here we'll go back and we'll attach back to the main structure that we've made so far. Then here on this side, we're going to leave a gap of 2. Then we'll place another one on the other side. We'll also leave a gap of 2. And then here in the middle, we have 2 more gaps of 2. And then 2 in the middle there. And then you can probably guess it. We're going to connect these back up to the main structure. There we go. Just all going to connect them back up to our build. And this is basically to Well, this porch that we've built out here is kind of your outside workshop. You can either have your crafting things there, your storage, maybe a little garden. It's really all up to you. And with having this above you, you still feel like you're a little bit protected in there. Then we take out our thin pillars and we want to snap to the inner corners of all of these gaps that we've created. Now, I like these wooden pillars for this, but I also really like the look of the frontier skin on these. So it's up to you what you prefer, but it's just a nice way to tie this whole design back together. It also just adds a nice detail to this porch that we've built out here, which is really quite a lot of space. So definitely a big work area that you can use for your base as well. Now then we're nearly there. We already have quite a big base, a quite cool looking base, but we still have a gap right in here. So basically what we want to start doing is starting our little A-frame like we would usually do with these sloped walls until they meet up. Again, I would personally skin them like so. We would have some double doors here in the middle. And then snap some full walls that we're going to turn into our glass on the side. Changing them to the frontier skin again, like so. Filling in our doors. There we go. That's the start of the A-frame shape at least. Then we need our roof. What we're going to do is we're going to try and snap it to the little quarter wall that we have right there. Then we should be able to just go up. We'll do the same thing here on the other side. So basically it has like a quarter wall of an overlap on the outside of the building. Now this should line up with the other dividing part that we already had. And then we can connect the rest of the roof up like so. So basically we have this A-frame coming into the main building that we have created. There we go. So it should all line up and fit perfectly inside. Then here on the inside, what we're going to do is we're going to have a stone slope wall right there to close off that part. And we're going to do the same right over there. And then here on the outside, what we're going to do is we're going to have a stone sloped wall right there, linking up with the roof. Doing the same thing here on the other side. And then all we need is a quarter wall to fill in the last remaining gap there, and it should all fit nicely together. Then here at the back of this A-frame, what we want to do is we want to take out our stone sloped walls, basically fill in those shapes like this, and we can fill in the rest of this stone wall like that. So that should close off that part of the wall at least, so that from the inside everything is closed off. Now of course we still have the outside to think about. What we want to do is we want to snap our sloped wall like so. We want to do the same thing on the other side like that, and then we should be able to connect up the walls like normal. And now this last remaining gap is basically the biggest problem, but you should, I think, just be able to fit in a quarter wall without having to overlap with anything. Not quite sure how that works on official. That might be a little bit more tricky. I don't know. I don't play that, but yeah, you should be able to fill it in, and that is basically the last piece of the puzzle. But now, of course, we have this A-frame entrance, but nothing really connecting it to the build. So that what we want to do is fill in our ceilings. They should be able to line up with the sides of the A-frame perfectly like this. And we should still have a gap of 2 ceilings until we reach the stone wall that we had before. What we want to do there is we want to take out our wood stairs, add 2 of them here in the middle. We want to take out our railing and add those here to the sides so that you don't fall off at all. And of course also here on the stairs. Then here we just continue with our wooden ceilings like so. Then on both sides we can have stairs coming down like this. And like that. And then you probably want to make one more turn. So either you can instantly go into a curved staircase, or you can have another one of these before you go down with the stairs like this. So you could do this, or the alternative to save a little bit of room is you end it with a curving staircase like that, so that, yeah, you leave a little bit of space that you don't need to use. And then, of course, on these parts at least, you want to have the railings. And then I personally would also take out some pillars. I would connect them up like here, so that it's like attached to that wall. I'd probably do the same thing over here in these corners. So again, the structure feels more supported. And you could also make them come down all the way from there, so that you basically have extra supports for your staircase. And with that being added, you should pretty much have the entire structure complete. Again, this is what we should end up with. It's a pretty sizable base, as you can see. So you definitely should be able to do mostly everything in this base. Let's take a tour of my full design, which is painted and decorated, so you can see what you could do with this design. There we go. This is the full design, all painted. So you can see all the adobe is painted in a silver color, or at least a whitish tone. I really like that look for it. And I've got a little garden here on the outside porch, some decorations. Painted this middle bit in charcoal, so it stands out a little bit more. And yeah, I've also changed the whole roof to the frontier skin as well, because I really like that look. But of course, personal choice and very easy to change. So right here we have the first entrance with the little porch. Also changed the gate to the frontier skin. You can easily go inside here. And this is what I would use as the dino pen. So you can park some of your dinos. You have your feeding troughs here. Maybe a little hatching area like that. And then in this case I also have a pyromane that's just powering all the lights, which always is easy. You know, fireplaces make it very cozy. And yeah, you can even have a little bit of your crafting and storage here to unload some of your gather tames. We have another little balcony here to maybe enjoy the views all around us, or park your flyers, or in our case have the teleporter as well. Then we have this gateway in the middle. Again, I would leave this mostly open just out of convenience, but you could close it off if you wanted to. And then we got the rest of the base. So I've used a couple of custom cosmetics. I think this is something called modern, which adds skins for all your furniture in a modern looking way. So we got a little corner here. We got the staircase coming down. We have the kitchen here with a bunch of those modern skins, and the frontier table, a little bit of the Summerfest skins as well. And then we got more storage here in the living room. I think this is from the Manor mod cosmetics. So yeah, I've been using a lot of custom cosmetics. They're a great way to decorate your bases. But you can see plenty of space here. Also, nice light coming in from the sunlight roof. Then of course we have the stairs that we can take up to the little small A-frame here, which I would turn into your bedroom most likely. And then we got a little roof garden as well. This is using the plant pots from the Bob Talltales DLC. And yeah, a little bit more space here. You could, I guess, also use this space up here. Maybe park some of your flyers there. Whatever you want to do. Then let's go back all the way down into the base. Then right here, we've got a little garden area on the porch, which looks really, really nice, if I do say so myself. I really like this area. I think I might even turn this into my crafting area, so that I can just work on the outside, you know, crafting your stuff here would be really nice in my opinion. You know, I like being outside in the game, and it is also just pretty much safe as well. And then here on the other side, there's plenty of room, for example, for a industrial forge as well. And then you can still easily drop off your Anki to unload all the metal you've gathered, for example. So yeah, I would say it's a pretty nice base design. Hopefully you enjoyed this build tutorial. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure to leave your suggestions for future builds down in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.